Yo,
Hello.
what up?
Not much.
Did you have Annette on your rundown?
Yes.
Okay,
Whether I
good.
wrote it down or not, I don't know, but I rapidly wrote them down.
What did you watch?
I watched Klute, Annette, Habit, read your review of Reminiscence and Demonic, and that might be it. And I've seen Barton Fink, so fairly recently.
That's a really good movie.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
For our YouTube listeners. Sorry, I'm posting everything on Twitter and Facebook real quick.
That's cool. I just watched a really good movie.
Really?
Yeah, it's called The Colony. It's going to be on streaming this coming weekend. And it's not the kind of movie I usually go for. It's one of those dystopian future movies, which I always tend to hate, but this one was pretty good.
So are we adding it to next week's show?
Yeah.
What is it called?
The Colony.
The Colony. So what's our classic then?
Don't you already know?
It's either Candyman or she can't. She's all that.
It's Candyman. I don't really have much of an opinion of Candyman. I haven't seen it in 30 years, however long it's been since that came out.
I never actually watched it.
I know I did. I know, but it was one of those that I was. God, when did that come out?
Well, I remember Candyman 2 came out during the OJ stuff because they got a bunch of shit for a black man chasing people, even though it was a sequel.
Bad optic. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Had to be 91, 92, I'm thinking. But
92.
92.
Provided Google's right. Just kind of taking their word for it.
Apparently it's a sequel.
Well, I'll give it a shot, I suppose.
Well, wasn't there another Candyman? There was a sequel. Yeah, we just talked about it.
Yeah, part 2, yeah.
So this must be the third sequel then?
I mean,
we'll figure it out.
And Jordan Peele is a producer, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But that hasn't really meant much lately. It's kind of like Guillermo del Toro or whatever. Great filmmaker, not necessarily going to care about the movies they produce.
But I think the director is Lola DaCosta, and she's not bad.
Well, that's good. I mean, I don't think it looks bad. I'm just not. I don't know. I really don't know. It'll depend on the mood I'm in going in. Crap, I forgot to delete the little thumbnail for our YouTube channel, so it's just me looking stupid. All right, it doesn't matter. Let's get the flick chart ready for later, and then we can go. Get the review pulled up so I can read it. All right. Oh, that's not good.
What's wrong?
Nothing majorly, just I can't find the plug to play the music. There it is.
Oh, good.
And worst keeps just editing later, but it's nice to not have to do that. All right, so you ready?
Sure.
All right, and if the app's ready, go. I messed up, so hold on. And go. Welcome to the Everyone's a Critic movie review podcast. I'm your co-host, Bob Serrell. Jesus Christ. Excuse me. Our co-host is not Jesus Christ. It's a professional film critic, Sean Patrick, joining me as always. Could start over, but I'm not gonna. We're just gonna run with this. Time is short. Visit us at IHateCritics.net. Everyone's a critic podcast.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Our handle is CriticsPod. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Alexa, all your podcatchers. Rate and review the show. We will read your review on the air. Please give us a 5-star review. If you do so, let us know on any of those social media platforms, and you'll win an Asian. Are they horror movies or just movies?
Just movies. Go USA is the company behind them, and they sent a nice selection. And we already gave one away.
Yep, we gave one away already, and also we have a new one to give away this week from. It says average guys with artsy tastes. That's the headline, and it reads, Sean and Bob are two average guys who watch movies and give their opinions on them. I have found out about many movies I wouldn't have watched without this podcast. They generally don't like movies that the average movie watcher likes. Sean has an unhealthy love for A24 movies. I don't know why I'm left out of that, but
thank you.
And probably drinks his beverages with a pinky out while watching them.
Like, do you have a camera in my house? What is going on here?
When Josh and Zach, and he left Michael out, but when they make an appearance, the normal movies get their shine. I'd imagine Zach more so than anybody. Although, let's see. Overall, it's a good podcast by somewhat local guys. Give it a listen. Also, guys, come up with an outro instead of just shutting the podcast off at the end of the chart. All right, we'll see what we can do. I remember to hit the button at the end. I like to just kind of end it on Sean laughing every week. We'll see what I can come up with.
People actually asking you to edit. Come on, guys.
What else do we have? Patreon.com/criticspod is the best way to help support the podcast. Our TeePublic page, if you go to IHateCritics.net, there's a TeePublic link in the right-hand corner, or you can go to TeePublic and search Critics Pod or Everyone's Critic Movie Review Podcast, or Willem Dafoe most likely will pop up with that as well. We do record live on YouTube whenever we have time to get together. That does change fairly regularly. But we will post the link on Facebook and Twitter when we go live. All right, let's jump in it. Let's share the screen. Let's pull the pictures up and get the show started. We will start with The Nighthouse.
The Nighthouse stars Rebecca Hall as a woman whose husband has just died. She is dealing with a lot of grief and a lot of mystery. She doesn't understand why her husband did it, and she's a little bit bitter about that fact. She's also finding things about him that she didn't expect. Pictures of other women on his phone are certainly revealing of something, but what, she's not sure. This is a ghost story. But it's more than that, though. It's a ghost story, but it's also one that's just a movie about a woman who is dealing with a serious amount of grief and a lot of she's got a lot of her own baggage that she's dealing with as well. She had a near-death experience as a younger person, as a teenager, and that left her kind of unmoored from the idea of any kind of afterlife. So finding out that there are ghosts in the world is kind of blowing her mind more than it might other people. It's a really good performance from Rebecca Hall, and this is a really smart director, David Bruckner, who has made some good movies before. This is probably his best work, I would say. He continues to get better as a director, and if I'm thinking the right guy, I think I am. I could be thinking of the wrong director, but I think I'm on the right track there. He's very good. In the first moments of this movie, he really works well with film language. He doesn't tell you that the husband is dead. He visually shows it to you, and you get signifiers of just she's dressed in black. Her friend is giving her a casserole. covered in, and everybody's really sad. Like there's nobody telling you what's happened. You're just visually learning it. And, she's a single woman by herself. So you can assume this must be something more than just a boyfriend. This was her husband. And it's all nobody puts it in any dialogue. And I appreciated that. And then when they do put it into dialogue, Rebecca Hall delivers it in such a fashion that it is, she is bitter. And her bitterness is really a really interesting aspect of this movie, and the way that she's playing both anger and grief. And she's just one of the best actresses there is today. And putting her in a movie like this she's the best idea you could have for a movie like this. I'm sure other actresses could play this, but Rebecca Hall just has the energy. I don't know if you've ever been in a room with somebody whose mood or just their attitude or just their very presence can change the atmosphere of a room. Like a room can feel colder because somebody's in it. She's that person in this movie. Like, she's completely unpredictable. She's pissed off, and she's not holding back. And it is fascinating to watch how uncomfortable she makes other people who are trying to be sensitive, but they don't know what to say to her. And there's no consoling her. It's really an exciting performance. She's just so interesting. And that I really like this movie. I really think it's very good. I think there are some aspects of it that get kind of conventional by the end that kind of hold it back, but she's just so good that this is nearly A24 good.
Not quite Pinky off the glass, but close.
Right. Yeah, close.
Now I'm finding myself holding back on jokes that I would have made a few years ago, just comparing her to my wife and being cold and blah, blah, blah. But I feel like that's not appropriate anymore. I don't know why. But in all seriousness, no, this was a movie I wanted to see in the theater. I didn't get to the theater. I'm a little nervous to go.
Yeah, I understand
right now. And it's not because I'm
I
worried
wore a
about
mask
sick
the whole time.
I'm not worried about getting it so much as I'm worried about missing 2 weeks of work. Jesus. I that's not COVID, by the way. I just have allergies and I got shit in my mouth. But I don't want to miss 2 weeks of work, and I got the vaccine, right. So I feel good, but I'm just nervous. And then watch me go see Candyman next week. Who knows? Total hypocrite. But if I'm gonna see a movie that's like this, seeing her name on it makes me more excited about it than if it was. I don't want to say anybody else, but someone from The Walking Dead or Game of Thrones or whatever the hell it's called, or any of those type of people who end up in movies that look like they could be good, or you just don't know till you see them.
Right.
Usually
she's
when
good
those.
Everything she does. She's just so smart. Iron Man, she improved Iron Man 2 in the few moments that she was in that.
Right.
And I like Iron Man 2, but I think a lot of people have a pretty negative opinion. Or negative Iron Man 3, excuse me. She's in 3.
Yeah, I love 3, but I understand why people dislike it.
Yeah. Professor Marston in the Wonder Woman, she was amazing in that movie. She was great in that, right?
Yes. And really
Christina Barcelona.
Yeah. I mean, that Wonder Woman movie was a movie that I started to recognize her, and then it's like you go backwards. Oh, she was in this, she was in that.
Yeah. And the Christine Chubbuck movie, that was incredible.
But you don't see her making that many bad decisions in terms of movies, and this is where I usually get bitten by, you'll start throwing 4 at me in a row where she was in this and this. If Josh were here, he'd do it. But I can't. Off the top of my head, I mean, it just seems like she makes decent decisions when it comes to the movies she decides to be in, and that alone makes me excited to see this when I get a chance to. But I just haven't seen it yet, so
yeah, I recommend it. It's a good flick.
I'm glad to hear she's still, making good movies. The Protege.
The Protege. This poster is so terrible. Samuel L. Jackson's mustache in this is quite a wonder. The Protege stars Maggie Q as a woman as a child watched her family be slaughtered, but she's also like a genius with like an eidetic memory, so when she sees a guy putting together a gun, she learns how to do it just by watching it. and she's able to murder everybody who murdered her family. Samuel L. Jackson happens to find her and rescue her and turn her into one of the world's greatest assassins. And when he seemingly is hunted down himself, she goes on a rampage to try and get revenge against the person who did it. This is an okay movie. Martin McDonald directed it. He's not a bad director. He's a good action director, and everybody in this movie is good. Michael Keaton and Maggie Q have really terrific romantic chemistry in the few scenes where they're being romantic, but they're also like very adversarial, like they're on the opposite side of this. So there's a lot of spiky energy there that's pretty good. It's the conventional aspects that get kind of tiresome after a while, and Samuel L. Jackson he's kind of weird in the movie. The way they use him is kind of odd. I don't know. There's good things about this. I think we're about 20 years too late for this movie to really be something exciting. It just doesn't. It seems like an anachronistic sort of action movie in this day and age.
I don't know how old Maggie Q is, but Michael Keaton and Samuel Jackson probably could have been in the movie, the same characters 20 years ago. It would have been fine.
Very, very true. It probably would have been better.
Samuel L. Jackson never said no. Because he's been in probably more movies than anybody else.
It's true. This isn't bad though. It's not a bad movie. I can't be mad at it. It's just it's there. It's all right. I would watch this before I'd watch Jungle Cruise again. So there's that. Or Free Guy or Suicide Squad.
That's fairly decent praise for a movie these days.
Yeah, right. It didn't make me feel like a desperate ennui. So yeah.
All right. I think this next one will make you feel better. Annette.
Annette. Yes, this is going to be another one of those movies. I love this. This is directed by Leos Carax, who actually we've talked about on the show before. He did a movie several years ago. It was one of our 30-year movies called Mauvais Sang, which is a wonderful film. And this one is his first American feature with Adam Driver, Marion Cotillard, Simon Helberg. And there's a conventional story being told, but this is also a musical, and it's also this incredibly meta thing that's going on where we begin the movie in this most incredible way, where you've got the director directing the band Sparks, who wrote all the music for the movie, and just, can we start? And then the song is called Can We Start? It's just, oh my God, this like right away I knew, like, okay, I'm in the movie. This is the movie for me. I know where I am right now. Adam Driver plays a comedian, and Marion Cotillard is an opera singer, and they're both huge superstar celebrities in what they do. And it's a very French idea of what a celebrity is. Because maybe there's an aspect of Adam Driver's character that could succeed in this day and age, but people don't know who opera singers are in America. Maybe they do in France, but we're probably not going to make an opera singer the biggest star in the world, more than likely. They fall in love, and their love is very beautiful at first, and it seems on the surface to be an incredible love story. But then once they have a baby, things begin to change. We begin to learn things about him, the very dark and disturbing things about him and his personality, and these aspects of his personality start coming out. And they're reflected in the way that really each of them kind of treat their baby. They're both loving, but at the same time, there's an aspect that has divided them now. And the baby is a literal prop. It's a literal prop. And I was so floored when I saw what they were doing, this puppet baby. I was like, I realized the metaphor is incredibly obvious, but it worked.
I think it is. Here's why I don't think it is. I've read so many reviews, and I'm not saying you're wrong. Mm-hmm. So many reviews that literally said in it, I don't know if he had a point to it or if he just didn't want to work with kids, but it was cool anyway.
It went okay.
So that happened. I read that way too many times for it to be too obvious.
I felt it was obvious because
maybe it should have been more obvious.
It was kind of because when the baby becomes a superstar itself, it just using it as a prop made sense.
These are like top critics too, like A.O. Scott and other people, like big name guys that I don't. They also thought, and back to your American point with the opera singer, they kept trying to compare it to A Star Is Born and saying she was lesser than him, and then he was a bigger star and she was overshadowing her. I'm like, and this was like a praise
of that,
but not to the extent that they were saying it, because she was a big star enough that the paparazzi would have gone nuts over him. And if she wasn't a star, they wouldn't have.
Right.
So it was just kind of like, it was kind of frustrating to read positive reviews about it that got it wrong, or at least kind of were a little off. But
that's the wonderful thing about this movie, though, is that you can interpret it many different ways. You can see this as a Hollywood satire, a satire of the media. You could see this as a satire of romance in general, musicals. It's a satire of musicals in many ways. It's just absolutely brilliant is what it is. I mean, the visuals alone, you could watch this movie with the sound off and be blown away by it, just how clever he is with the way he directs this. I mean, look, we're looking at a poster right now that is one of the greatest posters I've ever seen. It's just so remarkably beautiful. And that's just one of many that are in this movie. The way he builds these characters and tells this story with music. I mean, I've never listened to the Sparks before, or Sparks Brothers. I've never, nothing against it. I'd never even heard of them until the documentary came out.
Right.
And I didn't get to see the documentary, so I didn't spend much time working on it. And then I heard this, and it was like, when I wrote my review, I was listening to Sparks and I was blown away. They're really great. And their music here is incredible from beginning to end. I was just enveloped in this movie right off the bat, and that opening just blew my mind. I was like, this is great. Like, just this is so different than everything else that's out there. And I thought maybe that would be enough to carry it, but then it just kept getting building and building and building to this final scene between Adam Driver and his daughter that is fucking heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. And I was blown away. Adam Driver is so incredible. I totally bought his comedy. I totally bought that being successful. Because I remember Bill Hicks very, very well. And Hicks didn't do all of the big theatrics like that, but he hated his audience. He had a lot of hatred for the people in the crowd, and they hated him right back. And Sam Kinison similarly was a guy.
Lenny Bruce. You can tell definitely who he was pulling from.
Yeah, there's a lot of Bill Hicks in there, and I really loved that. I'm a huge Hicks guy, and so that was that was exciting to watch. Those stage scenes early on are incredible. That he does this lengthy bit talking about where he goes into talking about killing his wife, and we're not sure actually if she's alive at that point, which is kind of exciting. And we're watching that happen, and the crowd is trying to interact with him like they normally do. And there's this battle, this energy back and forth between he and the crowd. And it's just incredible. What a scene. And that's just one of many, many, many incredible scenes in this incredible movie.
Well, yeah, and some of the stand-up scenes don't even look like they're actual bits, as much as he's describing what this bit would be if you weren't watching a rock opera. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And no, it was it's a very neat movie. There's a lot of style, like you were saying, and then the movie's the story itself is fairly conventional, more or less. I don't know if conventional is the right word. Easy to follow.
Yeah.
Even if, he doesn't take a rocket science, like you were saying, to figure some of this out, although it was kind of annoying to have watch critics kind of get stuff wrong. I did feel, and I don't know if it was just the mood I was in or the environment I was in, like it didn't, for whatever reason, I'm still not elevating it to, something I'm just in love with. I like it a lot. Mm-hmm. But I don't know why, because I can't tell you what it is. There's nothing in the movie that I'm like, well, this just didn't work for me. There's just something that's keeping it from being like, this is going to be the best movie of the year and nothing's going to compete with it. I think it's like a step below movies like that are in that ballpark for me, at least.
It's
But I mean,
it's in the same realm for me as The Killing of Two Lovers and Giants Being Lonely. It's up. It's not going to beat those. I don't think anything's going to beat those movies for me still. But this one's up there. I didn't fall in love with this one though until the second time I saw it, because I saw it in theaters and was like, that was pretty incredible, but I need to see that again. And then I saw it on Amazon and I was like, yeah, no, I get it now.
I love the music though. I mean, everything about it. There's nothing. I love the performances. I can't complain about anything. It just seemed like the total package. There was something like I feel like a movie like this. Maybe I want it to be Midsommar. I want something to move me like that did.
Mm-hmm.
Or as original and creative as this was, because it wasn't hitting that, which is a freaking high bar to hit, and it's not fair to any movie.
No,
there's either me going, I don't get it, or there's something wrong with the movie, and I don't have an answer for it. I just maybe on the second viewing it'll definitely move back up there. But I mean, it's still probably top 10. Mm-hmm. Even when the year is over, I bet it's hanging out in that vicinity for me. Maybe or the very low, or at the very end, like 11, 12. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely a unique, interesting film, and I think people should see it. I mean, it is a rock opera pretty much. I mean, is that a good way to? Yeah, it's hard to describe the movie. Yeah, but the music, I think works.
I think it's incredibly divisive. Like I was reading some people on Twitter who are just angry watching this movie. They're just watching it pissed off. Like reading one guy said I had to stop it about halfway through just to go take a walk. Like he was angry at the movie, and I don't exactly know why he was angry, but I get it. This is not a movie for everybody.
Oh, it's up its own ass. Don't get me wrong. It's a pretentious as fuck. Right. But sometimes that works for me, and sometimes it pisses me off. And this works for me. Part of it's because I love Adam Driver. I really like Marion Cotillard. I can't pronounce her name right. I like you knew the Sparks name because of the documentary, but had never listened to the music. And then from the first note, I was kind of in. I loved the sound of their music.
Yeah.
I didn't pick up on it being meta until, I mean, obviously I didn't know who the director was. I didn't know who the Sparks were, and it wasn't until they really put the wigs on and I'm like, oh, so now it's Adam Driver. Now he's the character. Okay. And I still felt like I was a little behind the eight ball, even though that was fairly early on. But yeah, I just never knew what I was going to get. And that was pretty neat because it goes from this crazy love story for a good quarter of the movie, maybe a little less, but a good portion of it. And then the kid comes on, and it was just, I don't know. I like the pacing. I thought it was neat. It's long, but it's like, it's broken up really well.
I got really worried. There's a scene where Marion Cotillard is listening to the radio, and she hears about that Adam Driver's character has been accused by 5 different women, and then goes to a song where women are singing accusations about him. And I'm like, oh God, this isn't going to go to cancel culture, is it? Please don't do that. And it doesn't, thankfully. It doesn't let him off the hook. It actually uses that as a stepping stone to reveal more about him and more about his real nature and his self-obsession and how that's driving them apart. And that was fucking amazing. That was a wonderful turn.
Oh yeah. It's very. I'm sure watching it again will help because it's very good. I feel like I should be saying this is the best thing you'll ever see because it's that original and that cool. Yeah, it's fun to look at. It's fun to listen to. I'd almost say you could watch it without the screen on, like you could watch it without the sound.
You really could. You could listen to the soundtrack of this and just be blown away.
A little bit repetitive without the stuff going on in the background. I could see that being annoying to certain people. But otherwise, it's a pretty awesome movie, and everybody should give it. Not everybody.
And there's a part of me that could be like kind of overpraising this, like I'm being too effusive about it, just because it's not Free Guy, it's not Suicide Squad.
Right.
I'm actually feeling things while this is happening.
Well, and there's a part of me too that, and I kind of mentioned it, but I hate when people like movies just because they're weird and they don't understand them. Mm-hmm. And reading critics get things a little off, and maybe I'm wrong. But like literally having a line in their review of "I just don't think he wanted to work with kids" is, I guess it's funny, but it's pretty obvious what they're going for.
Yeah.
And I didn't read that just once. And those kind of things piss me off. That's what makes me turn on movies like Vanilla Sky and Magnolia, is the people that like them don't know what the fuck they're talking about half the time. I know you do. I know Josh does. I know a lot of people don't watch movies, just think Magnolia is amazing. And then I don't know. So this walks that fine line, but I think it succeeds. For me, I still feel like I'm missing something, and I feel bad about it. But it was a fun experience, and I'm gonna watch it again.
There's part of me too that's being superior to. I love the idea that there are people who hate this movie. I'll be honest. Like I just want a movie that's so different. I do at this point. I'm just so tired that really being different can kind of be enough in a way, but this isn't just different. This really does connect emotionally, especially Adam Driver's performance, and that ending is pure emotion.
Yeah, that's a fantastic ending. And I can appreciate somebody hating something just because it's like, you know what, fuck this. And I get your bad day, but whatever. I mean, we all have them. But I don't know. It's available. I recommend watching it, especially if you listen to this podcast, unless you hate when we talk about the good movies. All right. Habit.
Habit stars Bella Thorne as a drug dealer who, she's not initially a drug dealer. She just gets fired from a job and decides to go into drug dealing just to have something to do and make money. She ends up dealing drugs with her two friends, and they end up getting robbed the following day, and all the drug money is gone. And it puts them into a very difficult situation, not necessarily with the guy that got their drugs from, played by Gavin Rossdale, who's kind of a simpering former TV star who's just kind of got into drug dealing as a side after losing all of his money. And he's the one who's in trouble really with Josie Ho's character, who is somebody who doesn't like to be disrespected very much. It's very much a principle to her to kill people as opposed to just getting her money back. This movie is really clever. It's really funny. Bella Thorne is perfectly cast in this. She's just such a smart performance, and just so superior to everything going on around her. And I just really enjoyed the attitude and the swagger that she brings to this movie. There's not much to this. There's not much to this other than really attitude. But in terms of a movie that just has attitude to it, it worked on me. And I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, she's kind of the perfect punk rock person for a role like this. And she's also a person I try to avoid because she's, with a kid, my daughter watched her shows, and now she's like all over the place with next to no clothes on a lot of times, not always.
Yeah.
But what I have seen her in, even the bad movies, she usually finds a way to stand out. And I think that's pretty cool. So
I also like that they made use of their title here. Habit has multiple meanings. It's about, because she has a drug habit, but she's also pretending to be a nun wearing a habit. It's silly, but a lot of people don't think about, like there's a very good movie that I was just talking about called The Colony, where the title is nonsense. It means nothing. They at least put some thought into a title here.
Right. Just question. Gavin Rossdale, I thought he was really good in it, but how much better would this have been if it was Nick Cage?
I mean, what can't be improved by Nick Cage?
Right.
Gavin Rossdale did a good job.
Yeah. All right. Demonic,
filmed by Neil Blomkamp. Not the kind of movie you expect from Neil Blomkamp, the man who made District 9, Elysium, and Chappie. Was it Chappie his? Yeah.
Fortunately.
Which terrible film. This is a big step down for him. This is a very small budget, a big, not in terms of quality, in terms of just the No, in terms of the budget, like in
In terms of necessity.
The scale of this is much, much, much smaller than
when you
what
fail
he's done.
that many times. When you fail that many times, you gotta take what you can get.
This is a very low budget movie, but I think it helped him that this is that low budget, because this is actually a pretty good movie. Demonic stars Carly Pope as a woman named Carly, who has been running from the history of her own mother for about 20 years. Her mother became one of the most well-known murderers in the country when she burned down an old folks home and murdered several other people in the wake of that. And she's been running from that truth for years. She finds out through a friend that her mother is being held at this facility, this medical facility, where they've come up with a way to access her mind that would allow somebody to go into that mind, into her consciousness, and speak to her. They couch it as the idea is that they want to send somebody in there to make sure she's okay and that she's comfortable. They can't wake her up out of this coma. She may never wake up from this coma, but they want to know she's not in pain. And they want her daughter to go in there specifically because they feel like if you send somebody in there who she knows and is perhaps comfortable with, that she won't, hemorrhage and die from this. So that's the premise. But the reality is something else, because there's actually a demon inside her. And the people who are holding her are exorcists who want to scare that demon by using the thing that the demon has apparently been looking for, Carly. Clever. It evokes something like The Cell, but actually less up its own ass, which I dig. It's got a very low budget aesthetic, so it's very pixelated. That when she goes in there, it's instead of being like that clear, perfect, Cell with Vince Vaughn and D'Onofrio, where everything was very arty and music video perfect. This is very low watt video game quality, and I liked that. Some people have criticized that and they say it looks cheap. I think it's supposed to. I think that's the whole point, is that it's cheap. This is a new technology. They just created it. It's very low tech, but it gets what they need done. There's a lot of very typical stuff in terms of, the jump scares and the horror aspects. There's a very by the numbers quality to the script, but it's overall, Neil Blomkamp is a very good director. I never said he was a bad director. I just didn't enjoy District 9. But he's a very talented guy, and I think the restrictions of the budget helps him in this matter. I think he's doing much more inventive stuff this way, and I like Carly Pope. I think she's very effective in this role.
Yeah, if you give him too much money, he just shoves it up his ass. So
he makes it happy.
Yeah. And I mean, even if District 9 was a fairly low budget movie, and that's kind of the only one that people tend to say work anyway. But no, I did not watch this one largely because three reasons really. One, I was like, "Ooh, Neil Blomkamp." And I'm like, "Oh, Chappie." Two, you said if I had to choose one or the other, pick Habit over this, and I really liked Habit. I like Bella Thorne. I mean, reason I got lost in my train of thought, my wife walked up here and I got all confused. But I think I've really liked Bella Thorne a lot lately. I'm kind of shocked at how good she is and things. And I feel bad even saying I'm shocked because she doesn't deserve that. But then,
so much of her is such a brand. She's become the Bella Thorne brand in so many ways.
She's so aware, and because of that, she knows she's good at elevating whatever she does. Mm-hmm. Even if some of it's bad, she at least makes it better than it would have been. But then with this, so it was a Neil Blomkamp. I needed to see Habit, and then I had seen Klute before, but I really liked it. And then even reading you fall in love with it, I was like, I want to watch Klute again. So I could have skipped it and probably gotten through it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to see it again, so I missed Demonic. That's last movie this week that is new, Reminiscence.
Reminiscence stars Hugh Jackman as a futuristic detective sometime in the relatively near future in Miami, Florida. He has this, actually a little bit like Demonic, he has the ability to go into people's minds, sort of. Their dreams, that's their minds, yeah, it's their memory. He has this technology that can allow you to relive a memory, feelings, every feeling of it. Like you could actually touch a person in your memory. And so it's very addictive. It's also very dangerous because if you do it too many times with the same memory, you can become locked into that memory and relive it constantly and never be able to let it go. So that's the thing. The kickoff is when he meets this woman played by Rebecca Ferguson, who walks into his business and says she lost her keys. And this is a technology that would seemingly be a little bit small for that, a little bit big for that small thing, but it's something that they do for money. So they'll let you look for your keys in your memory. But it turns out, of course, she's got kind of an agenda to this that becomes revealed throughout the movie. This movie employs a really bad voiceover narration throughout that really sinks a lot of the drama, because there's a lot of Hugh Jackman telling you things at a certain point. I think I described it in my review as the movie, occasionally he'll pipe up with the narration just to remind everybody who's been on their phone for the past 10 minutes where we are now. Like, that's how the narration feels. It feels like that kind of functional thing. I do like aspects of this. The future Miami that they've invented for this movie, which has zero to do with anything in the plot, which is why I hate it. It has nothing to do with the plot, but it's very clever, because this is what we're going to do. This movie is the exact thing we're going to do when climate change does finally hit. We're not going to try and stop climate change. We're not going to change the way we do things to prevent this from happening. We're going to let this happen and then try to adapt. So we're going to have boats and streets covered in water, and we're going to have the poor are going to be drowned rats. The middle class is just going to have ankle deep wetness at all times, and the rich will be high above on dry ground. And that's how we're going to do this. And then the sun becomes so hot that we become a nocturnal people who only go out at night and avoid going out during the day because it's too hot. That's what we're going to do. I was impressed by that. There's a better movie in that than this attempt to make Inception into Chinatown.
But I think that's neat. I mean, I didn't like it that much either, but I do like the idea of them not really doing anything with it other than it exists. Like, I know you can make a movie about it, but I think it's
at least have it inform the story, though. It has absolutely nothing to do with the story.
But I don't know. There's part of me that likes that about it. But I mean, it's the narration though is really takes me out of it.
Yeah.
And then you get lost in trying to think of what memories you'd want to get locked in forever. And then you go, I could see that getting old after a while. Or maybe not. I don't know.
Just you watching Midsummer over
and
over and over.
Yeah. Would be nothing sexual, just watching movies. That's what I'd want. But yeah, that's Reminiscence, and that inspired our classic Klute.
Klute stars Jane Fonda and Donald Sutherland. Donald Sutherland.
I thought you were making a joke.
No, I'm not sure why I said that. No, I think it was Jane Seymour's, whereas my brain was going for some reason. This is the story of a man who goes missing, who's the best friend of Donald Sutherland. It's one day he's there and one day he's gone and nobody knows where he went. And the only clue left behind are a series of disturbing letters that were sent to a call girl in New York City. So she's basically the only lead that they have. And she says she doesn't know who he is. So the FBI is pretty much stopped at that point. So they turn to Donald Sutherland, who's a cop, and they have him act as a private eye. He goes to New York to investigate her and begins to try and follow several leads to try and, figure out what happened to this guy, Tom, his best friend. And you could just forget all of that because that's really not the point of Klute. That is so not the point. And the movie is called Klute because it's a clever name and it grabs your attention. What the fuck is Klute? But that's just his name. That's it. That's just what Donald Sutherland's character's name is, Klute. And he's not the main character. She is. And I loved that. As I was watching this movie, I kept being like really impressed by how Alan J. Pakula doesn't seem to give a damn about this detective plot that's supposed to be the main thing here. Like, he gives away the villain right away. Like, and you think maybe it's a red herring, but it's not. He just doesn't care. He's drawn you in here to be with this character, Jane Fonda's character, and see her life and see what she's doing, and to confront her as a human being. He's taken this call girl character and made her the center of this movie, and you're forced to deal with her. You can't just go, oh, sex workers. You have to live it. You have to listen to her. You have to be there with her and treat her as a human being. And that is, I mean, in 1971, that had to be a revolutionary thing. And even today, it still feels like a revolutionary sort of thing. It's really an amazing movie. And as I was watching that unfold, on top of that, this is such a great looking movie. He chooses his shots so beautifully. There's a scene where she's at a modeling audition, and it's just this line of women, this cattle call of women who are just these awful human beings who are just walking by, just saying these terrible judgmental things about them as if they're just not even human. And the scene is shot so perfectly. The way the camera moves, the way it stops, the way it cuts off the heads of the people who are talking about them, and tries to put you in their shoes, make you feel for them. That's the motivation of that shot is perfect. But then he pulls back to this shot that's just these three paintings on the wall. They're all the same painting, but in different styles. And it's all of a woman who is like a robot or something. But it's all about, again, female beauty treated inhumanly. And it's like, wow, there's so many levels working in just this one visual. It's so great. And there's so many great scenes like that. She does a scene with, I think it's Lee Strasberg, the acting coach. I think his last name is Strasberg for sure. And he's one of her clients, and he doesn't touch her. He doesn't have sex with her, but she does this monologue to him about what she did while wearing the clothes that he makes. And he's a clothier. And he's kind of low budget. He's just a Brooklyn guy, but he has these big dreams. And we watch from Donald Sutherland's perspective as this happens, and it places us in his context, but then we're watching the context between the two of them play out so beautifully. She is so tender and so wonderful to these people, and yet at the same time, she's fully detached from them. She has this, sex work is work for her, but she also is incredibly caring and incredibly just kind in that context. It may just be a job for her, but she does care. Then you sit in on her with her psychiatrist, and she's talking, and you're confronted by her humanity, her anxieties, her fears, and you're forced to deal with her as a human. And I fucking loved that. So many times characters like this get tossed off in movies. And to put you in a context where he's drawn you in by telling you that he's made this thriller about a missing man and the search for him, and then he's thrown you this curveball of like, I'm going to make you sit here and learn about this person, and you're going to have to empathize with her as a human being. Man, that was so good. So fucking good. I love this movie.
And so many times they tell the sex worker or prostitute with a heart story, and usually it revolves around the man leaving Las Vegas. And they're great performances, don't get me wrong, but there's something different here. And you mentioned it earlier, and it's hard to pull off, I think, or maybe it's not, and they just don't do it this way. But the detached, she at times appears, I don't want to say dead inside, but it's a job. There's nothing,
Mm-hmm.
And when she's going through this stuff, there's this attachment, this dead eyes to her and then you go back to the humanity, and I don't know. It was just a really good balance that Jane Fonda figured out.
Mm-hmm.
And watching interviews with her talk about this movie, and I think it's her best performance.
Undoubtedly.
And she didn't want to take the movie because she was just getting into feminism. And she was like, well, I can't play a sex worker if I'm a feminist. And it was her feminist friends who really got her into it, who read the script and like, what do you mean you can't do this role? This isn't about, no, you got to do this role. This is a great part. You can bring something to it. And she does. And she hung out with sex workers and madams and pimps and to prepare for the role. And I think it was the most authentic version of a character like this that I can think of. I think of other great performances that involve prostitution, which unfortunately is way too many, because it's similar to, it's just, that's the movie we're gonna give women awards for. Casino, and again, not a problem with those, but it's just
right.
It's almost a problem in and of itself that's where our male minds go. But that's what's so great about this movie, is because it's about her, and it's like the opposite of all these other movies, which are still great movies, but I kind of hold this higher than both of all, the
Absolutely.
two I mentioned.
Absolutely, I do too. I think of Pretty Woman again, and I hate that movie. And this makes me hate that movie even more, because basically that movie, it claims to be about Pretty Woman, it claims to be about Julia Roberts, but really she's just the manic pixie dream prostitute who comes in to change the life of the really super rich guy.
Right. Absolutely. I didn't even go to the bad movies. I would just think of the good movies that had. But it's always that prostitute with a heart story, and it's just kind of. I mean, it works. Certain movies are better than others, but this is something wholly unique and wholly original. It's kind of a bummer it's not more well known. I mean, it's pretty well known, but in some ways, I think you could be mentioning it along with some of the greats of all time, with the Chinatowns and the, those kind of movies.
It belongs
Taxi Drivers.
There.
Yeah,
it belongs there. This movie is that good.
Yeah. It really is. So
recency bias has it as like one of my all-time favorite movies, honestly. Like, that's how much I fell in love with this.
Oh yeah, I don't think it's recency bias at all. It's, you got two great actors, and definitely her best performance. And he's had a bunch too, but
he's the thing he does so well in this is that he knows what he's doing. He knows he's there to support her. He knows that his performance is a function to support what she's doing. He's enacting all of the mystery plot stuff specifically so that the movie can go where it wants to go with her. And that's such a great performance, such a smart play on his part. He never overplays a second of this. He doesn't beg for your attention. He does exactly what he needs to do to make sure that the story is about her. And then you've got the title. Again, the title is so intriguing because, again, you don't know what that is until you watch the movie, and then you realize it's just his name, and he's not even the star of the movie. That's so clever. I love that.
And you could sit here and look at it. I could see the wrong person being pissed off at that idea. But maybe I'm wrong, but I'm with you. I believe they did it on purpose.
Absolutely.
And that's what, 40, 50 years, or what? Yeah, getting close to 50 years, or exactly 50.
Yeah, 71. Yeah.
Yeah, that's 50 years in the past. And that's how woke this movie was, which is proof of why cancel culture is going to go away, because everything's cyclical. You have the people that are always thinking like that. And so, yeah, this movie is I don't want to say it's ahead of its time. It's perfect where it is, and it's one of the all-time greats, and definitely deserves to be talked about higher than it is.
Yeah, I'm putting it on that pedestal with Casablanca and just that level of all-time great movies.
Absolutely.
I can't believe it took me this long to see it.
Yeah. All right, 1991. This is the only one poster I printed for 91. Because why bother? But before we get to Barton Fink and the Marlboro Man, Defenseless and Dead Again, you familiar with any? I mean, I know you're familiar with them. Have you seen any of those?
Yeah, I saw Harley Davidson, the Marlboro Man, when it came out.
I did not watch that. Did anything to?
It's utter garbage. It's just it's product placement as characters, basically. And it's not commenting on that at all. It's really like living into it in the worst possible ways.
This is around the time you couldn't advertise cigarettes anymore, so they made a movie. I think it might be, because that's when Stallone signed the deal. Right. They had to have cigarettes in all of his movies, just in the background. And that's how he made all his money on his movies.
Hey, I got a wholesome Stallone anecdote, though. Did you know he still has the turtles from Rocky?
Yes, I did know that.
Yeah, I liked that.
But yeah, Barton Fink. I saw it for the first time on this podcast when I made it the classic years ago. Coen brothers are the best.
Just so good, just so smart and incredible. He's a Hollywood screenwriter who doesn't want to be a Hollywood screenwriter, who thinks he's above it all. And just, oh God, it's just, this is a super intelligent movie with a central performance by John Turturro that I don't think he's touched ever since. This is the one. This is the top of the obituary for John Turturro.
I mean, it should be. They're still going to say the Jesus, but
yeah,
that's too short of a performance to count. But then the thing, it just started with them having an idea of John Goodman and John Turturro sitting on a bed in their underwear. That's where the idea came from, and then they just went from there. They're just so good. I don't know how they do it. They never mess up.
Perfect chemistry.
Yeah, but yeah. If you haven't seen that, if you haven't seen any Coen Brother movie, watch them. Whatever one you're missing, go see it.
Yeah, get the whole set. There isn't a bad one in the bunch.
No. All right. That is our show. Before we let you go, before we play Flick Chart, I'll let you know what's coming up next week. We've got Candyman, He's All That, Family Vacation, and The Colony. Our classic is, guess which remake we're going to watch? The classic.
It's not She's All That.
It's not She's All That. And it's Family Vacation and the Vacation Family.
No, I think
keep calling it a vacation movie, and I don't know if they're just trying to get us to think about it.
I think you got the title wrong. I'm not sure what the title is, but I don't think that's it.
It's not Family Vacation?
No, I don't think that's what it's called.
Oh well. It's on Hulu and John Cena's in it, so
yeah,
there's that.
And so I went to watch it today because they sent me a screener, and then they gave me an embargo date that is the same date that the movie releases. So it's like, why are you even giving this to critics? We can't publish until the date comes out so everybody can see it. It's basically like hiding a movie from critics.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I was talking about that tonight on Twitter.
But the only movie
Vacation Friends is what it's called.
Vacation Friends. Okay, either way, but they keep calling it a vacation movie, so I wasn't sure if they were trying to pretend it's in the same family or not. But regardless, in 1991, only one movie came out, and we're probably not going to watch it. Child's Play 3. So, gonna be a quick one next week.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to some Flick Chart here real quick. And I got Pain and Gain, 12 Angry Men.
12 Angry Men.
Agreed. Legally Blonde 2, Mr. Holland's Opus.
Legally Blonde 2. I know that's not a popular choice, but the first one is so wonderful that it carries that one for me. And Mr. Holland's Opus is just boring.
Yeah. Deuce Bigalow, Male Gigolo, The Golden Child.
The Golden Child. Not a good movie, but better than Deuce Bigalow.
I'll take Bad Eddie Murphy over Bad Adam Sandler crew any day.
Absolutely.
Interstellar, The 13th Warrior.
Interstellar.
On flip for real this time.
Have you even seen The 13th Warrior?
Yeah, I read the book too and everything. You still win. I was a big Michael Crichton fan until I realized he was a little bit.
That is quite a poster.
Yes. Walking Tall or Eyes Wide Shut?
Eyes Wide Shut. Wow. Well.
See,
I've never seen that poster before.
I haven't either. I don't know that I'd put it on my wall either. I mean, it's kind of cool and artsy, but at the same time, I don't know.
Sorry, podcast folks, but that was quite the visual.
Limitless, 1408.
1408.
Agreed.
Limitless should have been better.
Right. Vicky Cristina Barcelona, Dude, Where's My Car?
Vicky Cristina Barcelona.
Be a fun movie that lives in real life. Final Destination, Army of Darkness.
Army of Darkness.
Absolutely. Minority Report, The Day After Tomorrow.
Minority Report by a lot. I hate Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah. Tootsie, Dune.
Tootsie. No, you're kidding, Dune. I hate Tootsie.
Do we need to get started on our Dune watching?
Probably should. I mean,
what is that?
If we started this week, we might be done by the time it comes out.
Yeah, no kidding. There's documentaries we're supposed to watch.
There's a lot of homework on that one.
I know it's going to land on a week where I'm busy, and it's going to piss me off. Destiny 1921.
Never heard of it. Looks incredible, though, from the poster.
Yeah, it looks way more modern than 1921. Paranormal Activity, Scream 3.
Paranormal Activity. Scream 3 is the worst Scream movie.
Yes. Friday the Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Dream Warriors. 4 Weddings and a Funeral.
4 Weddings and a Funeral.
Yeah. The Dukes of Hazzard. Jonah Hex.
Jonah Hex, that's the cartoon, I think.
Oh. Never mind. The Dukes of Hazzard, Invictus.
Invictus.
The other guys, House on Haunted Hill.
House on Haunted Hill's not bad. I'll go with the other guys. I laughed a lot.
Yeah. Nope.
Are you hearing music? I'm hearing music. I hear ACDC.
I feel like I hear Thunderstruck.
Yeah. Where can that, I'm not sure where that could be coming
from. Can you see my screen or not?
Yeah, I can.
Can you maybe?
I see your screen just fine. I've not seen his prehistoric past. I'm not seeing that Chaplin.
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Proof of Life.
Robin Hood, Proof of Life is disappointing. Should have been good.
Dennis the Menace, Election.
Election.
Say Anything, Triple X.
Say Anything.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about it.
Dallas Buyers Club, Martyrs.
Martyrs. Love that movie.
FDI. Machete, Jumper.
They both suck. You go ahead and pick.
Go with Machete because I knew it sucked. Black Panther, Kingdom of Heaven.
Black Panther.
Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1, The Campaign.
Harry Potter. Campaign should have been funny, and it wasn't.
Karate Kid Part 2, Kill Bill Part 1.
Kill Bill.
Source Code, The Fearless Vampire Killers.
I've never seen The Fearless Vampire Killers.
Source Code, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
Source Code.
Good.
I like Harry Potter, but Source Code's a hell of a movie.
Flags of Our Fathers, The Pink Panther, 2006.
Flags of Our Fathers. There's not much I wouldn't pick over the Pink Panther.
2012, Commando.
Commando.
Yeah. The Abyss, Willow Creek.
I don't remember Willow Creek, but what is that?
Neither do I. So we'll just pick something. Wow, The Abyss, Pet Cemetery.
The Abyss.
Yeah. Bridge to Terabithia, Underworld.
Bridge to Terabithia.
Friday the 13th, Part 2, Titanic.
Titanic.
You thought about it, though.
I thought about it.
Cats and Dogs, Ed TV.
Ed TV, they're both bad, though.
Unforgiven, Superman.
Unforgiven. I got a bone to pick, though, with that. I know I talked about it before with that Cry Macho trailer, but I was watching it again today, and I almost wrote an article about it, but I don't think I have enough for a full article. But just that awful dialogue is just so hard to listen to. And then he tops it off. He ends the trailer with that joke about a cock named Macho, like, and all the people over 70 fucking laugh their asses off. It happened before my screening of The Protege.
I still haven't seen it yet. I don't really care either. I mean, he bums me out because I liked him so much, and then I like him a little less, and I like him a little. He just keeps doing stuff to make me like him less. Then he does something good, then he does more to make me like him less. It just kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about Mary, Book of Eli.
There's something about Mary.
Bridget Jones, The Edge of Reason, Die Hard.
Die Hard.
Yeah. EP, LA Confidential.
LA Confidential.
Yep. The Village, Life of Brian.
Life of Brian for me.
I don't mind The Village as much as most people, but I agree. The 40-Year-Old Virgin, Max Payne.
40-Year-Old Virgin.
Freddy Got Fingered, Mr. Fantastic Mr. Fox. Way too many F's in these two movies.
I have to actually think about this one for a little bit. Freddy Got Fingered is impossible to watch, but I hate Fantastic Mr. Fox because it's so far up its own ass. It's Fantastic Mr. Fox because I don't think that Tom Green is a Dadaist genius. I think he just was fucking around.
United 93, European Vacation.
United 93.
Yeah. Delicatessen, Dumb and Dumber.
Delicatessen.
We'll have to randomly make that one of the movies. That's not going to pop up on Wikipedia. No. Maybe we could even watch it next week if we get too bored.
Hey,
we only have Child's Play.
I'm up for that.
I want to write it down just so I don't forget. Delicatessen. That's from the director of Amelie, right?
I believe so, yes.
D2, The Mighty Ducks, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
D2, The Mighty Ducks. I hate Christmas Vacation. I hate it. I walked out of it.
No one this time. Team America, World Police, War of the Worlds.
It's the most awkward thing in the world for me because, like, when people start talking about Christmas Vacation, somebody will inevitably say "shooter's full," and it expects everybody to laugh, and I just have to stand there looking at them.
Yeah, I do hate people, so I'll go with you on that one. It's a good way to end it. Let's end it there. Sorry, Ian, no music. Maybe next time. All right.
Cool.
Don't forget Delicatessen.
Yeah. Be sure to check out Twitter to see what they did to Karrion Kross tonight.
Will do.
See ya.
Well,